Okay. Hello, I'm Carolyn Marshall from Petersburg, Indiana. As I think in terms of the timeline of my life and involvement with United Methodist Women and at least one predecessor organization, I have to go back to the very beginning. When I got married and moved to Indiana, to a very small town, a town that I'd only been in a couple of times, we went to church that first month, at the end of the first month. In fact, the first Sunday was there because I had been sick the first month and been in the hospital the first month we were married. The woman who sat in front of me in church turned around and said, "I'm having WSCS at my house on, I can't remember whether it was Tuesday or Wednesday afternoon, and would love to have you come." At that point, I was not gainfully employed, and so decided if I was going to move into a new community, the thing to do was to go and to become a part of that community. And so as a young bride of 21, I went to her home and came back as the secretary of that group. And have to admit, I've been at it ever since. It went through the period of raising kids. We had 4. I can remember at the time that Cindy was at Purdue and was editing the Cancer Research newsletter, making the comment that doing a newsletter was absolutely one of the simplest things she'd done because she'd learned to do it. We collated newsletters around the dining room table at our home. And so from involvement in the local church, somehow the district got hold. There was some, we talk now here we are in 2013 at this point. We talk about trying to involve and appeal to young women. This really isn't new. They were doing it then. And so they were delighted, they said, to have a young woman on the district, and I did district secretary. I think I did a treasurer for a little while, and was district president at the time that the United Methodist Church came into existence in 1968 by the merging of the former Methodist and Evangelical United Brethren churches. That was the point at which I had fully intended to stay home and raise children, because I'd had our last one while I was on the district. And somehow we were in an area that was kind of a gerrymandered area, and it was a part of 5 former entities. The person who was the district superintendent and his wife happened to be in college at the same time that John and I were, and Sam and John were in the same house, and so he said, "Oh, come on, let's go make something out of this little area." And so we went at it. One thing led to another, and from the district there was the conference and the jurisdiction, and then by virtue of, I've always said that it's the virtuous jobs, the by virtue ofs, that get us involved in more things than we have said yes to. And so by virtue of being president of the jurisdiction at that time called the Core Planning Group, you became a director of the Women's Division. And after that 4 years, I happened to be sitting on the bed in a hotel, in the Penta Hotel in New York City, addressing wedding invitations for our oldest daughter when they called and asked me to be president of the Women's Division. And that opened many, many other doors. It's humbling to be the person to whom people look, because you represent those thousands and thousands, up to 1 million and 1 million plus at one point, women who are involved in mission. The story of people coming together and putting their pennies and nickels together in a prayer, and 2 pennies in a prayer, is well known. But the 2 pennies in a prayer, although they've expanded as far as amounts are concerned, yet that women being on the cutting edge of society, cutting edge of what needs to be done, has always been uppermost as far as women organized for mission. My first assembly was the one in Houston when I was district president. And I probably should not admit to saying and realizing that most assemblies I do not remember the theme for. How many times have we done program planning and worked and worked and worked to get a theme and then wonder how many people are going to even remember it? But I remember that very first theme in Houston. The theme of that assembly was Choose Life. And that's so important because that's what women, as we work wherever we happen to be planted, are enabling people to do, is to choose life and to choose a better life. On behalf of United Methodist Women, it's been a privilege to be in various parts of the world, to share some of the ways in which you, each one of you, because of your affiliation with United Methodist Women and your commitment to mission, have impacted the world. I remember in Zimbabwe, on a very desolate area, an area with a hospital that most of us would not recognize as a hospital. It had 10 beds, there was no running water. There was a nurse who was the only medical person on site, and her own 5 children. Person who had to go and down to the riverbanks, and as women are beasts of burden around the world, carry that water, whatever they used in the hospital. But as we left there, her saying, "Pray for us and we'll pray for you." And I have no doubt in my mind that her prayers continue. The effect of prayer around the world is absolutely, absolutely overpowering. I remember so well in Busan, South Korea. 5th floor, persons gathering from all over the world, or all over Korea, not over the world there at that particular time. And where that woman was in all of those people that were 3 and 4 and 5 deep around the walls of the entire room, I have no idea where she was. But standing right in front of me, tears streaming down her face, and through Dean Schoengert, who was my interpreter at that time, saying, "Thank your women for sending missionaries. Without them, I'd never have known Jesus Christ." That's the sort of impact that United Methodist Women have on folks here in the United States and literally around the globe. But all of us are called to bloom where we're planted. We're called to do what needs to be done where we live. It's also been a privilege to be involved across the last, 37 years in the ministry at Lucille Rain's residence in Indianapolis, a residence that is owned and operated by United Methodist Women in Indiana, a residence for 49 men and women who have become undone by their own doing and who choose to live in a safe, clean, sober environment while they deal with issues of recovery from substance abuse. The challenges are many. I've often been said that you get fulfillment and challenge in creative balance. United Methodist Women saw a need, and in the face of people saying, "Oh, forget it, do things that good little church women ought to do," said, "No, we want to be on the cutting edge of helping folks become whole people, whole persons again." That purpose of United Methodist Women is vibrant to the core, because knowing Christ and experiencing freedom as whole persons through Jesus Christ is vital. Developing that creative, supportive fellowship, that's who we are. And then expanding concepts of mission through participation in the global ministries of the church. Global means, yes, global around the world, but global also means at home, where we live our lives out day in and day out. Did that do you?